Board Member April. We have a very full agenda tonight. So that to the extent we can avoid repetition, that would be wonderful. The first item is a report from DHS and Department of Homeless Services. You're on. Waldo Avenue, right?
Okay, yes. Should I put it up, Yuri, or have someone share to put it up?
You can put it up, please. And we'll just say next when we need you to skip to the next slide.
Okay, let me just share screen right now. Hold on. Admit, share. Let me just go to slideshow. Okay.
So we'll start with a quick round of introductions, just really quickly. I'm Yuri Sanchez, the Assistant Deputy Commissioner here at DSS Intergov, and I'll pass it to Jamar Hooks.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jamar Hooks, Deputy Commissioner for Intergov and Legislative Affairs at DSS, and I'll pass to Simone.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Simone Zito, Bronx Borough Director with Intergovernmental and Legislative Affairs. I'll pass it on to who else is here?
Nicola.
Gina?
We can pass it to Nicola.
Nicola. Pass it on to Nicola.
Hi, good evening. Nicola Hammond, Associate Commissioner, DHS. Sorry, I'm not on camera. I'm going from meeting to meeting. Tracy?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Tracy Ann Artie Brown, Assistant Commissioner, Shelter Operations. I think that's it for DSS DHS. I'll turn it over to the provider, Valerie.
Hi, good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Valerie C. Smith, and I'm the Vice President for the West Hub Shelter Portfolio. Ms. Mylan?
Good evening. I'm Nicole Mylan. I'm the Assistant Vice President of New York City Clinical Services, and I oversee Waldo. That's it for West Hub.
Okay, we could go through the deck. Next slide.
I'm hitting it. Hold on. Where is that it? Okay.
So West Hub have been around for some time, since for over 42 years. And so we are the shelter provider that oversees Waldo. You could do the next slide, please.
Go ahead, please.
So we offer several services to the families that are placed at Waldo. We have, this is just a overview of who we are outside of shelter. We have about 4,000 units of affordable housing. We do job readiness, and we also do a recreation and an educational component that is inclusive of all of the programs that West Hub runs. Next slide. And so we are focused on delivering opportunities to our families and to get them up to speed so that we could move them out of shelter. We work with the entire family, and so we have programs for youth. We try to link the parents and the older individual in the family to jobs. We try to get them a living wage, and so most of our jobs are paying more than the minimum wage. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
And so in 2025, the average hourly rate for the jobs that we got was $21.17. We provided 4,201 individuals into supportive and affordable housing. We recently completed a purpose-built shelter in Brooklyn in Fort Greene, which is a shelter, a facility that is built with the developer and the program staff to make sure that the building is reflective of the population that will be living there. So we make sure that we have vibrant colors, we have spaces for the young kids, we have a playground that's attached to it in the back. And so we try to anticipate the needs of the families that will be assigned to us when we're putting together these purpose-built shelters. Next slide, please. And so we currently have 21 sites that we operate, inclusive of Waldo. And so we have 10 single sites, 9 family with children, and 2 adult family sites throughout all of the boroughs of New York City, outside of Staten Island. We don't have any program in Staten Island. Next slide. This is just a bit of some information as it relates to our employment services that we offer in-house. And so we have an employment center that is located in the Bronx, and we also have employment staff members that are in each of our sites, which includes Waldo Family Residence. Next slide. And so now this is more specific to the Waldo Family Residence, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Mylan. She oversees this site. Ms. Mylan?
Before you do that, I have just one question for you.
Yes.
You stated that your focus is on, quote, get them out of shelter, unquote.
Yes. Yes.
What percentage of the folks that you deal with do you get into permanent housing within whatever the earliest time frame you use?
Well, Ms. Mylan, the rest of the deck will speak specifically to Waldo. But the average length of stay, I could speak to the broad strokes, and then Ms. Mylan could give you the minutia of it. And so the average length of stay for individuals placed in shelter is about 9 months to a year. And it depends on when they're assigned to us, what are they coming to us with? So there are times when families or individual may come to us and they don't have IDs, and so we have to work with them to get IDs. They may be looking for a job or looking to upgrade in their job. And so those types of things impact how fast we can move them out of shelter.
And my second question is, in low community shelter sites, do you seek them out or do they come to you?
All of the individuals that are placed in the West Side facility comes from the Department of Homeless Services, so they are assigned to us.
No, the facility. The facility. Do you seek out a place in Waldo, or does an owner of a building come to you and say, I have this place?
You're going in and out, so I didn't hear the full question.
So I can answer the question. So for the most part, except when it's a purpose-built shelter, we have very good relationships with our landlords, and when they have a building, they approach us and ask us to partner with them.
And my last question is, in making a decision on whether site A or B is appropriate, do you conduct any kind of population survey in the area involved?
Yes. We do this in conjunction with the Department of Homeless Services.
DHS is required to submit what's called a fair share analysis. We conduct a fair share analysis in advance of any shelter opening.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hook.
Share analysis they conduct.
I didn't ask you whether you conduct a fair share or otherwise. I asked you whether or not you conduct a survey of the community to determine the character of the community and whether this is an appropriate community for you.
Well, that's part of what the fair share analysis is.
What's the rest of it?
The rest involves a robust plan for community engagement. Once the shelter is open, we have a community advisory board where community members are allowed to join and assist in identifying quality of life issues, but also helping our clients with different things, like if there is a need for, toothbrushes, toothpaste, that sort of thing. Community members are assisting in that sort of thing as well. But overall, the fair share analysis provides an overview of what is in the current community and what the shelter will provide.
So let me try and be specific by way of illustration. There are other facilities than DHS, other entities that provide shelter for people who are disabled, shelter for people who have problems of one kind frequently or another, mental problems, etc. In the course of their going around, they check first whether the community is one in which it will fit. So, for example, we have a fair number of them within the Riverdale community. And the organizations that do that conduct a survey to find out what they would have to do to help the people who live there fit in within the community and be able to thrive and move forward.
You mean like services?
Yeah. Do you, for example, do that?
We do not have a survey, but that's part of the robust community engagement plan. The provider, WestHab, has established relationships with various organizations in the community, and they rely on those relationships to get our client services and supports. But also, as I mentioned earlier, the Community Advisory Board is there. And in terms of community engagement, we're regularly engaging the community via the Community Advisory Board. But no survey, only the fair share analysis.
Mr. Folks, let me ask you this question. You are relying then on the vendor, if you will, or the servicer, rather than having any activity on the part of the agency. Is that essentially correct?
I'm not sure that I understand the question, but the agency, as I said, conducts a fair share analysis every time we place a shelter.
So let me be even more specific. A few years ago, one of your predecessors came before the board and told us, we wait until the landlord has a place and then we put them in. We asked her, I think she was the deputy commissioner of the agency. We asked her specifically, what do you do to make sure that this is something where the people who you take in have a benefit, that they have medical facilities, access to transportation, potentiality for jobs in the area, as contrasted with the local gin mill? And the answer we got, quite bluntly, was we leave that to the provider. And what I'm really trying to get is, have things changed? And if so, how?
What I could speak for WestHab. And so I'm not sure what you're asking, but I could answer it this way. All of the families that are assigned to us at Waldo are linked to a primary case manager who will work with them to address issues that they may be presenting with. We also have on-site employment and housing persons. And so those individuals will work with them to get housing ready and then work with them to get them placed into permanent housing. The same would for the employment staff would do an assessment to see where their skills are and then work to get them link them with jobs that they would be successful with. We also have individuals that are assigned to us that are already working. And so there are times when the person may be looking to upgrade his or her job. And so the staff of WestHab would work with them to identify another job. And it goes for the case manager is also working with the parents to link them with schools. Some of the young kids will go to the schools that are in the neighborhood, but we also have families who are opting to have their kids stay in the schools that the community that they were in prior to coming to Waldo. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does in a way, and correct me if I'm wrong in what I understand to be the case. And if I'm wrong, I pray I am. I have no doubt that West Hab, based on its reputation, does all of the things you say and has the capacity that you say. Trying to find out what DHS has and whether it has changed to become a responsible agency. And I haven't heard that answer.
Hi, I'd like to chime in here.
You guys want to watch
So
the game?
What?
You're trying to watch the game?
No, we already have.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Hello, can someone mute themselves? Respectfully, so our agency, right? Jamar and I work for DSS, which is the umbrella agency for DHS, which is the Department of Homeland Services, as well as the Human Resource Administration, which provides a myriad of benefits to our clients, right? So they have access to cash assistance, medical insurance, career, childcare. It's a whole host of services, and that has been in existence and that will continue to be in existence. So that complements the supports and services that the providers offers to our clients. The agency is available.
So let me finally pin it down to the last one in this line. Do you have any publication protocol or the like which tells me what you, the agency, provide, not what the vendor does? You're a middleman. I want to know what you provide. And let me tell you why. When the former deputy commissioner appeared here, it not only made the major newspapers in the city of New York in terms of the lack of service that the agency itself provides, but it was something that troubled the hell out of every member of this board. I'm trying to see if things have changed and improved. You place total reliance on the vendors. If you could say, and I doubt that anyone can say, that every vendor that exists within the system has the capacities, interest, and track record of West Hab, we'd all be happy. And we say maybe you guys are really unnecessary in terms of the large staffing you have because the vendors can provide it. But I don't know that we're anywhere near that kind of a state. Do you have anything at all that shows me and shows my colleagues what it is that the agency, as a matter of custom and practice, now provides? If you want some time,
we have a long list.
I'm perfectly happy to give you as many weeks as you want to put the stuff together.
We have it together. I can follow up tomorrow with the list of the core benefits and programs that our agency offers.
Let me ask you to do the following. Make it as complete as you possibly can, because I would love nothing better than to see that the agency has taken heed of the problem of a few years ago and really gives these poor folk the kind of attention and service they need over and above what your vendors provide. What you provide provides an incentive for the vendor to go you one better. All right? So if you would send that to the board, Ms. Rubin will be happy to take the information and circulate it to the members of the committee.
And you want to know what the agency is providing, but we contract with our vendors, and our vendors are providing the direct services. We provide oversight of those vendors and make sure that they're providing the services as appropriate.
And you haven't changed. You're simply providing oversight. How big is the agency's staff?
The agency in some cases is the direct shelter provider, but very rarely is that the case. In most cases—
That's the question I'm asking, Mr. Hooks. Please, I'm not your adversary.
Let's wait for Ms. Sanchez's
Presentation
of it.
Yes, happy to follow up.
Ms. Sanchez, hold on just a second. Mr. Hooks, I'm not your adversary. I do what I can on the in the Department of Agency Housing Development Corporation to advance your goal. What I and this community, and I think every community in the city of New York, wants to know whether DHS has now become an activist, providing services and thereby leading the way, not poking the way. If you follow what I'm trying to say. So if you can cooperate with Ms. Sanchez to get us one, the more you say, the better I like it. But I don't stand alone on this. My colleagues may have different views.
Chuck, I have
Marty.
2 questions.
Marty,
Yeah, the slide says officially open September 4th, 2024. I remember when it opened and the shroud of secrecy that surrounded its opening. Some of it valid, some of it not valid. So my question is, what happens, or what is the status of the current population or residency at this time? What happens to them?
So, to answer your question, Marty, it's no secret, right? The site was an emergency contract, but as of July 1st, it is converted to a long-term contract, as we notified all of the elected officials as well as the board. So that is a change
And
that we've been transparent about.
So July 1st coming, it will change. But what about where are the current residents?
nothing changed as it relates to the program.
So
So
some of the people who live there now will be your new patients, your new clients?
Our new families will remain our families. Anyone that we have in the building currently will remain with us until we place them in permanent housing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We continue the slide. We have a few slides left.
The STAG organization.
It was Manhattan College.
Miss Mylan.
They sold it
No,
to
it's-
Stag.
Oh, right. We go way back.
So
Do you want to?
do you want me to move forward?
Yeah, anybody.
Yes.
Okay, so we officially opened
Yeah.
as a special populations emergency shelter in September of 2024, and we serve 91 families. Can you go to the next slide?
Sorry, it takes.
I'd like to know the answer to the question, is the landlord the STAG organization?
I'm sorry, the question of what?
What's the question?
Is the landlord the STAG organization, having purchased it at one point from Manhattan College?
Yes, they are. Yes, that has not changed. I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
So, as a permanent long-term shelter, we will be expanding our staff and the programs that we're able to offer to clients. We do already have several partnerships within the community and within and around the community. Next slide. So, no, can you go back one?
This one?
Yes.
May I ask you a question about the
Yes.
professionals?
Yes.
Do they supplement or are they additive to the West Hab's facilities and staff?
Are you talking about the new staff that we're getting?
Yep.
So they would add to the staff that we have now. So
Do they fill in holes for West Hab or are they just more people?
More people.
no, they fill in gaps. So we would have additional employment staff, social workers, recreation staff, that enhance the services that we're providing now. So there are some services that so for example, recreation, we've been having our residential aides do that. We will get specific recreation specialists who will be able to provide a more robust recreation program for our children.
Let me, if I may, ask Ms. Sanchez, is that the lady from West Hab?
No, she's from DSS. Nicole is
No.
West Hab.
How does that fit in with your program?
with the program at Waldo?
Yeah,
I don't think that I quite understand the question. This is our
Well-
program.
Is this question for Yuri or for West Hab?
it's for West Ham. Here's what I'm trying to find out.
Okay.
As we have just been told, you are expanding your staff at DHS. And I assume that staff is the staff that will pay attention to Waldo, or is it citywide?
No, the staff that she's speaking of is going to be at Waldo.
All right. Now, those are employees of DHS?
West
No,
Hab.
West Hab.
West Hab.
They're West Hab employees.
Yes.
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So in 2025, we placed 23 families in permanent housing, and so far this year, we've placed 12 families in permanent housing. In addition to those 12 families, we have another 26 families who have housing applications submitted and 10 more families who have housing vouchers. All of our families have been referred for medical services, and all of our children are enrolled in school right now.
Can I interrupt you again? First of all, let me thank you. This is the best presentation from DHS in the years that I've been here, and I congratulate you for it. You have found housing for a number of families. How many of those
No, not yet. No.
are within the community board 8 district lines?
So I can't speak to how many are in Community Board 8, but I can say that the huge majority of them are in the Bronx. I don't know the specific lines of the community board being, I'm not a city employee. I don't know that, but I can say that the huge majority have moved in or around the community in the Bronx.
Know how many of them came from the district area, or are they just generally from the Bronx?
Do you mean before they were in shelter?
Correct.
It's a mix.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next slide, please.
So like I said, our team is expanding. We're adding social workers. We're adding additional employment staff. We're adding additional housing staff, and other support workers so that we can have more robust services for the families. Next slide. Oh, that's the last one.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Laura.
I have a quick question. How many members are in your community advisory board? And what method was used to recruit them?
Is
Ms.
there?
Martin, you don't have a cab as yet, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, I thought she said she had a community advisory board.
Yeah, Mr.
We
Hooks
will have
mentioned.
one.
We will. It's required for long-term contracts. The community advisory board is required. So we'll stand one up.
Who selects them and vets them?
Who? One more time, please.
How is the Community Advisory Board selected?
You do it.
We're
She
going to
sent
reach
me-
out to elected officials. We're going to reach out to the community board and ask for potential CAB members. Also, West Hab has been in the community for quite some time, since 2024. And so they might have some connections already that they think are good members or potential members. So we'll take all any member that you suggest and any members that, the Dinowitzes or any of the other elected officials suggest will consider adding them to the community advisory board.
Great.
Stephen.
Are any of the services that West Hab provides go beyond those required by your contract with the city?
The contract primarily focuses on housing. And so West Hab offers employment services. We offer recreational services. We do different type of special programming depending on, what the need of the shelter is. And so we are doing more than what the contract says that the traditional contract is, which is the focus is on housing.
Yeah. Farah, can you go back 2 slides or is that too complicated?
I just stopped sharing, but okay. Hold on.
Back 1.
It's forward.
Okay, that's fine. The second to last.
Hold on, everyone. That's the second to last.
The next one. Okay, so you list 6 roles: security, case management, housing, employment, social work, and support staff. Presumably the security is full-time. Of those other 5 roles, what are the full-time equivalents that these 5 entities will provide?
So if you look on the right side of that slide, we actually have a list of all of our positions. And I mean, I can go through and tell you what we have in each one, but we have significantly more than just 5.
And all
But full-time equivalents.
So for case managers, we will have 4 FTEs. For housing specialists, we'll have 3, employment specialists 2, social workers 2, recreation specialists 2, program assistant 1, 1 program director, 1 director of social services, 1 security manager, 6 shift supervisors, and I need to check the exact number of safety security officers, but I believe it's 24.
Now we're about 10 full-time people though.
No, all of our staff.
No, all of our staff are full-time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes, hi. I have a quick question. Will this presentation be shared with our offices? I'm with Councilmember Dinowitz.
Sure, we can follow up.
Will be shared.
Yes.
Will what be shared?
Okay, thank you.
Will what be shared?
The presentation.
I mean, send it to the board?
Moises, I'll talk to you after.
Let's get a copy if you can. And I think it was Ms. Sanchez. We would like to remind you, if you can send us that listing of a range of the services the department provides as compared with those provided by vendors, that would be helpful. Can I ask you one more question? When last we visited this issue, which was several years ago, there were significant complaints in the press and elsewhere as to the quality and qualification of the individual vendors. We had nepotism claims, we had all sorts of stuff. Do you have some form of internal entity that vets the proposed vendors and then does more than just file it away, reports it to senior staff of DHS?
I think you're talking about our capacity and development team. Yeah, WestTab is an excellent provider that we have partnered with across the boroughs. They have, check off all the boxes and they're fully compliant.
Put WestTab aside. If a vendor comes to you, whether that vendor has a prior track record or not, what is the extent, if any, of vetting done by the agency or Department of Investigations?
I will not speak for DOI, but I will have to get back to you with more thorough details of what you're asking as far as, how we vet WestTab or any other vendor, right? This is not my my house, so I'll have to consult with colleagues and get back to you with more details.
I'd appreciate that. So if you can get that to Ms. Rubin, that would be very helpful. She will circulate. And thank you very much, DHS, for a thought presentation and of being responsive.
No problem. And if I could just add something, Yuri's going to send you the list of services that we provide, but please note that they're going to be mostly on the HRA side, right? Like we're providing Fair Fares New York City for a discount transportation. We're providing public assistance. We're helping them secure vouchers, City FEPS, Section 8. We're helping them move into NYCHA with, rental assistance. So the services that we are connecting them to are going to be on the HRA side, and the sort of services that the vendor or WestHab is providing are on the shelter side. So DHS is, in most instances, is not providing direct services to clients. The vendor does that. But in terms of, supports that they need to move out of shelter, the HRA is providing those.
If you can make that clear in the material that it's going to be sent to us, that would be appreciated. It is understood. Thank you.
Of course, no problem.
And I thank you again for your cooperation. The next item.
Do you have any questions? Okay.
Are you finished with your presentation?
We are done. Have a good evening.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
now.
And let me do a couple of housekeeping things. Minutes of the meeting of April 23rd have been forwarded to the members of the committee. Are there any comments, questions, collections?
Motion to approve.
Seconds. Any comments? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Done.
Is that Marty? Is Lee on the call?
Yes.
Just want to make sure. So it's Chuck,
Hand is up.
Marty, Bob, Lee, Steve, and Laura. Okay. Oh, there she is. Okay.
I'm going to defer the chairperson's report until a little later. The next application is Rosefield Police Service in SNAD. This is Riverdale Country School. Is there a representative present?
Yes, Chair Murther, Jim Power from HSF Kramer here. And I'm joined by Ron Matten, Director of Facilities from Riverdale, and Christopher Tomlin from the Project Manager DBI projects.
Hello.
Who am I sharing, giving co-host to?
Oh, I have some materials to share. All right, thank you.
Okay. Great.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Jim Power from HSF Kramer. Thank you for having us this evening. This application requests approvals under the Special Natural Area District regulations for a project to resurface Riverdale's Rose Field with a new synthetic turf field. Rose Field is a playing field on Riverdale's upper campus off of Fieldston Road, south of the main entrance to campus. It is located in the R12 zoning district and the Special Natural Area District. The project consists of 2 separate zoning lots and portions of 3 mapped but undeveloped surrounding streets that run through campus, Waldo Avenue, Tibbet Avenue, and West 252nd Street. And this is a view of sorry, Ron. This is a photograph of the field as shown from the north, the main entrance to campus. And I'll turn it over to Ron to discuss the purpose of the application.
Good evening. Rose Field historically been used by Riverdale soccer team. In recent years, with unpredictable weather, the field has at times become deteriorated. Resurfacing the field is essential for player safety and supporting the long-term sustainability of Riverdale's athletic facilities. It'll also allow Riverdale to continue to make the field available to various community groups that use the field periodically. Although RCS's soccer team play on Rose Field, it does not meet the regulation size requirements, a condition that presents both a liability and concern and safety risks for student athletes and visiting teams. To address this issue, Riverdale is proposing to relocate soccer to another field on campus and move field hockey to Rose Field. As field hockey may be played on artificial turf, it requires a narrower field than soccer. So resurfacing Rose Field will improve overall field conditions and provide more durable playing surfaces that meet the needs of Riverdale Country School's athletic programs.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry, first, are you finished for the moment? I don't want to interrupt you.
Sure.
In what respects does it not comply with the soccer requirements?
It's the width of the field does not comply with the regulation field.
To what extent, if any, is the proposed resurfacing such as to allow drainage without flooding?
There's extensive drainage. Jim Power, I believe, has a little bit more in the slideshow, so that will come up a little bit later on in the presentation.
You say that it has more than grass?
I'm sorry?
Are you saying that it has more runoff capture than it does grass?
I'm going to let Jim Power answer that within the presentation.
That sounds ominous.
It's not. We've done comprehensive studies leading up to this point as far as runoff and retainage.
Mr. Power, you're on.
Yes, thank you, Ron. So this is a site plan of the proposed project. This is a more detailed site plan. The synthetic turf system, it's a free draining crushed stone base, including a flat drain system laid out in a herringbone pattern. There are drains being installed underneath the surface, and the stormwater would flow through the synthetic turf and collect in the base stone, and then it would flow to underground infiltration pipes. It's considered to be a pervious surface and would not lead to additional runoff compared to the existing condition.
Thank you. Have you completed your presentation?
No, I have a few more slides.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the application requests approval to install a new synthetic turf surface for the field, along with turf anchoring, a below-grade drainage system, fencing, a scoreboard, and a water fountain. As the site of an existing playing field, the site contains no trees, shrubs, or rock outcroppings. The site is almost entirely in an area of less than 10% slope. There's only a small portion of steep slope buffer area, as shown in orange on this plan. The project area as a whole contains a total of 285 trees of 3-inch caliper or more, and no tree removals would be required for this project. However, the arborist has identified one tree that is existing and unhealthy and recommended that it be removed. Riverdale has committed to replacing that tree elsewhere within the project area. As to the construction schedule, Riverdale plans to perform construction over the summer months while school is out of session. So we do appreciate Community Board 8 accommodating this schedule and hearing us this evening. We have sent out notice of this meeting to all property owners surrounding the site. And I did just want to conclude by mentioning that we do have tonight an updated master plan for the school, which shows both the Rose Field project and a preliminary project that the school is considering, which would be a new science building shown in the footprint here on the right. And we will be back to the community board later this year or in early 2027 to discuss that project further.
Let me ask you this, if I may. I have two questions for you, sir. First, you anticipated every one of my questions, but I have two pieces still left. The first one is a matter of pure personal curiosity. Do you have any kind of data which points you in the direction of a response to this question? Is a synthetic covering one that gives greater, lesser, or equal protection when in a sport somebody is knocked down?
I don't have any information on that. Perhaps Ron or Christopher, has that come up with any of the consultants?
I don't, Chris, do you have any?
We've done a fair amount of conversation around that exact topic in terms of both impact, which this has the synthetic turf with the infill has a shock absorbent pad, which offers a bit more. We talk about head injury. There's another discussion further around knee and leg injuries as well, of which not conclusive, but we've had those conversations. But from an impact resistance perspective, from a head injury perspective, this is supposed to be better than a hard ground because of the makeup of the assembly that Jim explained. The data, there's data that I don't have data offhand. We would have to find, but I know that it exists.
Okay, Mr. Cohen.
Actually, I played on all three major surfaces. Grass is still always the best if you can maintain it. That's always a challenge, particularly with multiple sports. I played on AstroTurf, which is essentially a carpet on top of concrete with a little rubber pad. It is awful for all of your joints and tends to give you serious carpet burns when you slide. Now, I'm not really clear about this surface. Is this considered an infill turf?
Yes.
Okay. Infill turf is longer plastic blades, okay, with shredded rubber and sand mixed into it and underneath it. So it provides better padding and it's much more comfortable, frankly, when you slide. In fact, it's in soccer, created a different strategy of doing slide tackles, not from 2 yards away or from 8 or 10 yards away, because you can do that without tearing the skin on your leg. So in that regard, it's helpful. But I do have, having played on those surfaces and been integrally involved with the grass and 2 generations of infill turf at the New York Athletic Club, I strongly recommend that you have all of your coaches who might play on that field at some point be involved with the design, make sure all the lines work. There's a tendency to make lines for this sport here and 6 inches away, another set of lines, which I assure you drives the athletes, the coaches, and the referees crazy. It's really quite annoying. The other part is this probably will get June, July, August, or September usage. I recommend that you also near the water fountain or something or other have sort of a fire hose connection so that you can wet down the field on those miserably hot days, because the turf does get hot on hot days. So,
Getting back to the infill
We have in this board some experts on all sorts of stuff.
Just getting back to the infill, so we've opted not to go with a crumb rubber infill, and we are using a cork and coconut natural infill, which also keeps the temperature down a little bit.
Is the only reason you are before us tonight the fact that you're changing the natural turf to synthetic? In other words, the change in the dimensions of the field are not a factor. If you were changing the dimension of the field with natural turf, you would not have to come before us. I just want to be sure I understand exactly what is the issue that that brings you here tonight.
We are here solely because we are disturbing the surface area, the existing field. If we were just changing the dimensions and keeping it as a natural grass field, we would not be here this evening.
Okay, so there's no other factor, just the synthetic.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Powell, my congratulations, well done, thanks.
Marty has a question.
Marty.
Yes, thank you. On the other site map that you showed, I'm just curious on 2 questions. Where is this field? The use of this, the people who are using this field at present, where is the other
We
field?
can't hear
Marty, you're fading out.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, try again. On the other site map, I was trying to figure out where the players on this field will be moved to and how that field is any different than this one, with concern for the weather conditions that you've identified are messing up the groundwork here and the need for this change. Will that also need a change down the road?
Ron, could you speak to that, the conditions on the other field?
Yeah. So we have, you want to pull up the last slide, I guess?
Is it this one?
All the way at the end, I think.
The
is-
master plan, Jim.
Here's the larger plan, yes.
Yeah, the last one. So if you'll notice, at the bottom of your screen, we have a field there we call Bertino, and that is already a turf field.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. The scoreboard, where will it face? I mean, this map shows you close to the property line. Will the scoreboard in any way affect neighbors day or night?
The scoreboard is located, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, it's on the left, top
see
left
it.
side over here. So a fair distance away from any of the homes on the other side of, to the
Can you
south
show
of
the campus map?
He has control of the.
Oh, could you show the campus map? Because that
Yes.
Schematic doesn't really, okay. Your cursor again?
Yeah, so it's approximately in this location.
It does face the houses to the north.
I don't see, where is it?
Over here.
Bottom, middle, and between the two fields on the top.
Okay. Mr. Powell. First, I take it you will be providing us with a copy of the master plan. I thank you for revising and updating it. I would urge you, if you would, to consider coming sooner rather than later, because of all the instances I've seen of master plans, they would wind up with a second meeting based on the questions that come up. If you can come up in the fall, that would be much appreciated. All right.
Yes, I believe it. Yeah.
On the motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
You can vote too. No.
You now remember the.
Contrary minded? Abstentions, done.
Marty and Lee, you approve?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Next, 5211 Arlington Avenue. Before I get to that, let me just make sure that I understand a fact. Sarah,
Yes.
this was really indicated. I take it that the synagogue or proposed synagogue across the street from the site has asked to go over, or what?
Yes, they're not ready, they said. So we're gonna ask again in June if they can come.
If not, I'll see them in October.
Yep.
First would be, is Mr. Mann there?
I'm here. Good evening, Mr. Mordler.
Mr. Mann, I'd like to thank you for what obviously was a significant amount of work on your part to put it together for tonight's meeting. It's appreciated and helpful. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, if I may, up front. Or would you make your presentation first?
Should he do his presentation first?
All right, do your presentation first.
Okay. I'll keep it brief, because for the record, we're back tonight to complete our presentation from the prior meeting and to specifically address the board's questions regarding stormwater and drainage. And we've taken that feedback and incorporated a clear on-site solution. So we have the aerial views, what we're proposing, the trees that are getting removed, the proposed grade, and here is the new slide for tonight, which focuses on the stormwater management. The key point is simple. We are managing stormwater entirely on site. We are proposing a distributed retention system consisting of 3 dry wells per lot, each 8 feet in diameter and approximately 7 feet deep, located as shown on the plan. These systems are designed to capture runoff from all proposed impervious areas, including roof drainage and hardscape. Importantly, this approach does not rely on public infrastructure and is intended to avoid any increase in runoff to neighboring properties. In addition, the site remains approximately 65% pervious, and we are maintaining the natural drainage patterns through controlled grading as shown on the previous slide. We've also accounted for pool drainage within the system, so all water generated on the site is handled in a controlled and code-compliant manner. So to be clear, the proposal improves control over stormwater compared to existing conditions where runoff currently leaves the site uncontrolled. Under our proposal, it's captured, retained, and managed on site. And then again, the sections showing the height of the buildings and an updated project summary and compliance fact sheet. So if you have any questions, Mr. Mortler?
Yes, I do. First, let me ask you just 2 general questions. I see that you are removing 1 or more trees on the site. The tree people are very anxious about that issue, and I ask you this: what do you plan to do to replace those trees?
To replace them?
Yeah.
So they are currently a privacy screen, and we'd like to replace them as much as we can after construction is completed.
May I make a suggestion to you that is constructively intended?
Absolutely.
I would suggest you get in touch with an arborist at your early convenience and consult with them as to the best place to locate them. It would seem to me, and I do not have that area of expertise at all, that you probably are best by putting it not on the Arlington Avenue side, but on the back end.
Yes. Noah and I have already had conversations about that area, but haven't come to a final consensus because of the drywall installation and other factors.
Right.
But yes, we will definitely be in contact with an arborist. And
all right, so that's one of the issues I wanted to talk to you about. The second issue is, I understand you have been in touch with the Riverdale Sanitary District, but have not had any resolution yet as to whether or not there is a plan to go forward. My understanding earlier, and I don't know if that's still correct, I saw Ms. Morgenthau on the list of people present. My understanding was that there may indeed be a need for some additional action, not on your new site, but on the existing site. Is that correct?
yes, that is correct. We have started speaking to Ms. Morgenthau, but we are looking at the feasibility of the connection requirements and haven't moved forward with her application as we're waiting to hear back from DEP.
That's correct. I can confirm that.
Thank you.
Let me make well, all right, let me hear some of the other, what I wanted to talk to you about here is timing. Let's see, anybody on the board that wishes to be heard?
Yeah, I have a question.
Robert?
Did I understand you to say that when you drain the pool, you're going to retain all the water on the site itself?
Yes, but it wouldn't be filling all of the tanks in a single day. Like, it is a controlled release.
Okay. Over some significant period of time, or?
Yeah.
And you have an engineer who has advised that the dry wells will be sufficient to contain that water?
That will be reviewed by the RSC engineers as well.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you.
Karen Argenti.
Yes, hi. I have a couple of questions. Is there anything going on top of the wells?
Well, yeah, they're buried under topsoil.
Okay, but no structures.
No.
Do you have an overflow?
The engineers haven't calculated one, but I'll speak with them and see if that's necessary.
And is the property higher or lower than the adjacent properties?
This, these lots are slightly higher than the adjacents, so
So that is a problem maybe with the overflow, I would think at some point. Because eventually we're going to get more rain than we have now.
Mhm.
And so if your design is based on today, like in 20 years, it's going to be overflowing somebody's yard. Maybe they can account for that.
I'll speak with them. Currently, the 20 through 100-year flood maps aren't required to be looked at, but they should definitely be considered.
I assume if you build a new house, you want it to stay there at least 20 years. So I think you should have no problem thinking that the dry wells would be just as good. And so it'll dissipate into the soil?
That's how they work, yep.
Okay. And you'll alert the whoever's in charge of how to take care of them?
Yes.
And then you said you think you're like at 60% impervious?
65%.
65%? But that's got to be more than what the existing condition is, right?
Yeah.
So you've increased.
We have increased the impervious area on the site, but we are responding to it with the dry wells.
Okay. It's very well thought out process, I have to say. And could you put in some green around them so that it would assist in some of the overflow, like a green infrastructure, something like that? Plantings of some sort? Bioretention basin?
We'll look into it.
The DEP will talk to you about those things? Because you probably have to go under the Unified Stormwater Rule.
Possibly. Again, we're still waiting to hear from them, so anyone is welcome to email me or call me at any time to find updates.
Okay.
Marty? Martin Wolf?
Yeah, I have more of a observation than a question. And I'll say it anyway. You were asked at the last meeting whether or not there was a specific purchaser for one or the other of the houses, and you said no. And my own comment is curious why they aren't equally sized, and that one is obviously a better property than the other if you have nobody in mind. So
that's due to lot 150 being a corner lot. And there is an easement on the property that we want to plan ahead for in case DOT decided to come in the future and widen the street or anything else in that scenario.
Mr. Mann, anybody else with questions? Okay.
I have a question, please. Can you hear me?
Danielle.
I've just dialed in as a neighbor.
No,
Is it my turn?
yes, I think it is now.
Thank you. So to the architect, you prepared, Lori Miller.
I understand. Miss Daniela is a former member of the board and understands the board's needs and requirements. You're next.
Wait, who's next?
Yes.
Or Lori? Who do you want to speak?
Let's go.
Okay. Hi, thank you. So I was wondering if Mr. Mann, if you could go back to the slide with the visual of the subdivision.
I mean, that's on all of the drawings.
I'm sorry, like the rendering, the first.
The aerial views?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So my question is more, or just more of a concern, that just in general, subdividing the property into these two smaller homes does change the nature of sort of the way the block right now is. It's all sort of single homes, individual homes. And to me, it has the potential to set a precedence for anyone who wants to just sort of subdivide their land and build on it. And I'm just wondering if, you know, if there's anything, you know, around that maybe the board has an opinion about, or Mr. Merdler, if you have some thought on that.
So
if that's a risk.
Sorry. So I addressed that in the last meeting we were at regarding the width of the subdivision, that if you go up Arlington and look at the overall area, many of the sites are already between 75 and 80 feet wide. So hopefully that addresses your concern. It wouldn't be changing the character of the neighborhood that much.
So you've located homes on the block that have the same width, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to send you the list, or?
Yes, I would, that would be great. I'd be curious. The other issue is that, you know, my concern is that, and I hear that you're working to address the potential for flooding and overflow, but if this were to set some sort of precedent for the block or for the, you know, surrounding blocks, it could compound on that problem down the road of flooding and of traffic and of parking, which, you know, as you all know, we have a lot of those issues already. So it, you know, to me, it's just a you know, a bit of a concern that it could lead to other potential issues down the road.
Can I now respond, if I may, since you asked if I had a view? This is a project together with the synagogue that is one that the committee has been particularly troubled by. This block has perhaps the most flooding and drainage concerns of any block in the Riverdale up the hill area. Down the block from your site and not on your site, you cannot get a winter weekend where the middle of the street isn't got 2 inches of water going from one side of the street to the other. All of those conditions that are really bad are compounded, or likely to be compounded, by 3 concerns: traffic that is coming, the city's general refusal to pay attention appropriately through DOT to paving the streets and leaving it to the property owners to do the best they can, and therefore creating wonderful potholes up and down the block, in which in time cars can disappear. And 3, the elevation of your site and the pool on top of it with respect to the houses behind you. So that's the first concern. The second concern is you lead the way on needle buildings in Riverdale, this being a very narrow piece of property. That is not a proper concern for this committee. We are concerned with the special natural area district, and that's not part of our problem. It is, however, a planning issue, something that has been lacking in the city for over a dozen years. there is no planning. There's just job holders. And that's very sad. Mr. Mann, I'd like to thank you for the extensive work you have done since our last meeting, and apologize if you think I was exceedingly acerbic in my questioning of you. That unfortunately is my nature when we see a bare plan that doesn't have a lot of detail such as you have provided. I have a concern, and let me tell you what it is. You still have not been able, because you were caught up short at the last meeting, to deal with the issue of the hookup to sanitation. It has been the practice of this committee not to recommend to the board or to city planning any applicant who is not hooked up or scheduled to be hooked up to a sanitary district. I have no wish to hold you up. I do know that you acted very promptly after the matter was called to your attention in calling the sanitary district to see what you could work out. But I have a question for you. Have you gotten any kind of time frame from the sanitary district?
We have not yet, but as we mentioned last meeting, if there's, without a sewer hookup, we cannot build. That is a fact, and there's no changing it. So we don't have a timeline, but also it's an unfortunate fact that if we don't have one, we can't build. If there's another option in terms of septic fields or tanks, we would consider those, but we're not at that point. But yeah, no sewer, no build.
All right. There's a second problem here, though, and that is, from what I've heard, there's some likelihood that not on the new site, but on the existing site, as a result of yours, they are going to have quite possibly a demand for either hookup to the city if you can get it, or some major changes to the sanitary plan. Have you broached that in any way? Or is that not your responsibility?
I'm sorry, what?
Or is that not your responsibility?
Sorry, what are you asking is if it's my responsibility or not?
Problem. You are
Hook up to the city,
5211.
dude. Pay attention.
You are 5211's architect and planner. The adjacent lot has a different owner. Are you representing them as well?
Which adjacent lot? 5204?
The one which has the old Jerosa house on it.
Is that 5204? That's across the street.
No,
The
this one.
synagogue. Oh,
Okay.
Right on the corner.
this?
I think this is one lot.
Yeah,
that he wants to
that's what the
subdivide.
question was.
But he's talking about the lot across the street.
Across the street,
Over here,
I'm talking about this one, right on the corner.
which is that? All right.
this is where the synagogue is.
No, that's not what the
Oh,
synagogue.
No, that's,
of
course,
That's the existing home. Mr. Mann, I
Yeah.
don't know if you see it. Your plan shows the 3 dry wells at the top running parallel to Arlington Avenue. That is one lot. There's nothing on it now. Being spun off, right? To the south of that lot is another lot on which there is now a house, right?
Correct.
And they propose to put a pool in there, right?
Yes.
And the information that I have been given, and of course, the Ms. Morgenthau's president can tell us, is that that is a separate problem, which may require either a different sanitary plan for that lot, or that it hook up with the city. Is that right, Ms. Morgenthau?
That's correct, but I have not had any conversation with either Mr. Mann or DEP about the viability of that hookup to the city line on Arlington.
So here's my question, Mr. Mann. You seem, as far as I am concerned, to have answered all but one critical part of my question. And that is the sanitary hookup. If you don't have it, neither property is going to be fit for human habitation. And the question I have for you, do you have a time frame of requirement to get moving for any reason? Or can you try and move this thing a little more rapidly so we could act? Because otherwise, I at least am of the view, and my colleagues have their own views. I don't see how you can approve an application that involves as essential a fact as these two do, this one does, without having a sanitary hookup. We have a problem over in Van Cortlandt Village with sanitary and sewage rolling all through the streets.
Right. So as I
Can I
mentioned,
just interrupt for 1 minute? I think that Lot 1 has an existing sanitary connection to the Riverdale sanitation main on 252nd Street.
That's my understanding.
It would possibly have to be upgraded, and we would require stormwater
To
retention.
the Riverdale Sanitary District.
Lot 2, we have no control over at this point. We have yet to
That's
find
my
out
point.
whether it can go to Arlington Avenue from the DEP.
But you see, here's the chicken and the egg problem here. That would not be an issue but for the addition of another customer on this site, which is the end of the sanitary districts.
Correct.
All right. And so the question I have is, how do you deal with this?
so point number one is that the
Are you
sewer
planning to
connection is,
start construction promptly or what?
sorry, what was the question?
Are you planning to start construction promptly?
No, we have to get a sewer connection before we can even get a permit to build.
So let me ask you to think about the following. What is the board meeting?
May
month?
14th,
13,
May 12th,
12.
excuse me.
12?
Yeah.
Well,
Tuesday, week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, week from tomorrow.
Then from tomorrow. Is there any chance that you could have a conversation with the representative of the people next door to find out what they're doing about this problem?
Are you talking about the synagogue across the street?
No, I'm talking about people who own the property immediately adjacent to you.
Oh,
The
sure, we
lot
can be in
to the-
contact with
To the
them.
north of lot 151, is that what you're talking about?
Let me start again.
I think he's talking
There is
about
one
this
existing
house over
house
here.
Oh, on
that is
257.
on the corner of West 252nd Street and Arlington Avenue. That is independent of Mr. Mann's client's property, which is adjacent to that house.
this was,
All right?
this is one.
That house, according to what I've been told by the Riverdale Sanitary District, has, that house, according to what I've been told by the Sanitary District, has a potential problem by reason of these changes, so that it is possible, but not definite, that the Sanitary District may say either a whole new plan has to be put in by them, or they have to do pay for a major upgrade. Am I wrong, Ms. Morganville?
Yeah, we would definitely have to do some investigation of that line to accommodate any more sewage from the lot at 5211, for sure. The lot 2 on Arlington, we have not even begun to consider. I think Mr. Mann and I were both in agreement that until there was a decision made about their access to the DEP line on Arlington, it was not worth the amount of time and effort being put into that to involve Riverdale Sanitation. But the 5211 existing line would have to be upgraded and stormwater retention would have to be in place. Then there would have to be cameraing and videotape of that line looked at by our engineers to make sure that it had the capacity and the condition to accept more sewage. It's a multi-step process, which we have not yet begun. But it does involve our engineers and Mr. Mann as the architect and their engineers.
So,
Yeah,
Bob?
I have a question. I'm not sure I understand the sequence here. I presume that if you don't have some sanitary hookup, you can't get a C of O for the building. Is that correct?
There's
It
an
goes even
existing
before
standard.
that. Sorry, Susan, hold on. Even before that, you can't have a building permit without a sewer connection.
Wait, I'm confused here. Without a sanitary hookup, can you get a certificate of occupancy?
No.
Isn't that a requirement?
That's rhetorical.
It is.
It is.
Okay, and then presumably, you're not going to go ahead and start construction without knowing whether you're going to get a C of O or not, right?
This is a chicken and egg problem.
Well,
Bob.
that's, and I'm trying to figure
Let me
out where the
tell you what.
chicken is and where the egg is.
All right, let me tell you the pieces.
Mhm.
As I understand it, the building next door was the home of the former controller of the city of New York, Lawrence Gerosa. The strong likelihood is that that building was built prior to 1934. If that is the case, it does not require a CO unless certain changes are made to that building. Okay, now comes the chicken and the egg. Once this building, Mr. Mann's client's building, goes up or anything is done, it triggers and indeed is already being looked at as a question as to the sufficiency of the drainage next door. Therefore, one triggers the other. And therefore, the problem is if you approve this and there is a problem that ensues, A, do they have to amend the certificate of occupancy of the building next door and go through that routine? Or two, do they have to change all of the design of the sewage system for that area, for that one building? In other words, that building next door is just fine now, but it ain't going to be maybe once he goes in. Got it?
Sorry to cut in, but I think everyone's misunderstanding the process. C of O happens after you've built the building and you've requested sign-off inspections.
Correct.
Prior to all of that, there's no chicken and egg. Right now, we're here for the SNAD review. We need that in order to move forward with getting a building permit. But before we can get a building permit, we also need to get the sewer connection approval.
Correct.
So there's no chicken and egg. This is a straightforward process.
For you, yes. That's my point. For you, it's perfectly all right. The problem is next door, and next door owns the land.
They don't have to amend their CO if they get the sewer upgraded.
If my mother had wheels, she'd have been a bicycle. That's not the problem. Understand, this is something I really do know a little bit about. Having administered this agency for 2 years, my concern is how I accommodate you. I guess the best thing we can do is the following, and I'd like to explore it. I don't know that it works. The risk isn't to your site. The risk is to the adjacent site. That is owned by the same people that own your site. And so the very least that I think can be done is that you would secure from the owners of the next door building some written assurance that they understand the jeopardy that here potentially exists, and they will not make any claims based upon your construction.
Understood. I will have
I have not
my client be in
articulated.
contact with them.
You understand my problem?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not trying to impede you. I just tell you, if we go ahead and he doesn't take steps with the sewer district, the next step is to proceeding to revoke any certificate that he has, and if since he probably does not have one, for an eviction.
Seems extreme, but I understand what you're
Point.
saying.
He had this in Staten Island in the 60s, and it wound up with 12 buildings under construction getting into trouble. I'm trying to avoid history repeating itself. Let me see if we can try and bifurcate this. Is there anybody who has any problem with this application other than the sewage hookup?
It's legal.
Stephen?
But the sewage hookup.
I'm not saying that. Okay. But then the point is that the owner of the building next door assumes the risk knowingly that he is going to have shot himself in the foot. Mr. Mann, the meeting is the 12th. Would you please try to have a conversation with the owner next door and see what the situation is and talk to Ms. Morgenthau? Does that include you particularly?
No problem. We'll have a conversation with them.
Report back to us. Mr. Mann, I apologize. Nobody's trying to impede you. From my standpoint, you've done what you can with your site. But it's the same owner for both sides. All right, so what I would ask you to do is get in touch with us prior to the next board meeting,
May 12th.
May 12th, and we'll see where we can go from there. Is that okay with you?
Yeah. Email, phone calls, okay?
Do you feel slightly more comfortable at least? Is there anyone who has any questions or concerns other than the sanitation concern? Hearing none, we're down to that one issue, okay?
I actually have a question.
Shoot.
If Mr. Van gets the information to you a week from today,
we'll take up the issue.
We will take up the issue at the board meeting. Correct. And vote then?
Correct. I'm giving him a free week in fact, because we have to have it approved by the board anyway, full board.
So then it will automatically go before the full board?
Yep. It'll be part of this committee's report to the full board. Do you understand that, Mr. Mann?
Understood.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Do I have approval of that plan? Anyone object? Okay. Thank you again. You see what happens when you try too hard to maximize land use. Okay. Oh, by the way, let me ask you one question.
I have a question.
Can you, by the 12th, please have for us some report as to the tree replacements?
Sure.
Okay. Marty's got a question.
Yeah.
Marty.
Yeah, if this, and hopefully it will, this report come back from on how the sanitation will be treated in time for us next Tuesday. There are only two possibilities. Either you raise a resolution from the floor, or this committee has a tentative resolution already passed so that it can be part of the agenda.
What I
It's
would
not
do,
necessary, but part of the agenda.
Marty, what I would do procedurally, what I would ask you to let me do, and procedurally, is present to the board the problem and say, I'm going to move to amend the agenda to have this issue before the full board. I don't want to hold them up for this problem. It's just, kick them over to Jude.
I thought I was doing the same thing, but fine. Okay.
Okay.
Before we move on, can we inquire whether any of the other community members who are online have anything to say?
Sure.
Okay.
I believe the owner of both properties is on and listening now, so you won't have much of a problem in terms of explaining to him what happened. Okay? And maybe, Mr. Friedman, one of the things you can do is reach out to the sanitary district yourself as promptly as possible and explore that situation with them so they can tell you what your options are.
I appreciate the direction. I'll be in touch certainly with the architect and we'll go that way for sure.
So not to belabor this, but just to be clear, since what you're saying is the only thing that this organization, our governance, is responsible for is the sewage and water, which is already a massive problem. The other things that people have raised, parking, trees, etc., not your responsibility. So once you've gotten once they put in a couple of small holding facilities for sewage, then they can have a pool and two huge buildings that replace an existing small house that's more in line with the rest of this, our beloved neighborhood.
Miss Miller, please, let me respond to the
just asking. It's a simple question.
Question. Let me tell you the problem. Special natural district is a specific provision of the zoning resolution. Planning for communities, raising issues such as you have raised quite legitimately and very importantly, is not the forte of city administrations that occupied that role for the last three terms. And as a result, they even wanted to get rid of SNAD and actively fought to get rid of it so that we would have had no jurisdiction even to call this out to a calendar. Yes, it is a serious problem. It is probably long-term more serious than the drainage issue on Arlington Avenue, because neighborhoods, taking, for example, Van Cortlandt Village, the entire village area, are being barbarized by reason of that lack of planning. And this city has got to get wise. Luckily, we have a representative city planning here who's heard this refrain of the whole board for years. And she is a very patient lady and a very understanding person and a real planner. But that's our problem. We only can do those things that we are legally entitled to do. If, for example, we defeat a resolution because we do not like the way the house is designed, we will be told, you are not the design police, the aesthetic police. That's our jurisdiction. It's very limited. We do the best with what we have. Ms. Miller, you are perfectly correct in your concerns. I share them. But I can only do what I can with what I got. Now I interrupt you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Miriam has her hand raised.
Who is the lady? Yeah.
Hi, it's
Miriam.
yeah, can you hear me? It's Miriam Hoffman. Hi, I will be brief because I think some of your comments really gave us some good clarity. I'm really speaking on behalf of the neighbors on Arlington Street, just to share that our safety concerns on top of the drainage issues are significant. As you say, I know that it's not specific in that narrow auspices, but now we're looking at a facility with 120 people flushing the toilets across the street and the pedestrian and the vehicular traffic. And, you know, as we've shared, we're concerned about, you know, a fatal accident. I'll just mention we have reached out to the city councilor and the Department of Transportation, and we actually just sent a message to Ms. Kuehl Rubin. I hope the correct email, I used the CB8 email, if that was the correct one, for, you know, to put these things on the radar for the community needs, the annual process there, as well as capital planning. And if there's any additional information that we can provide that would be helpful, we would be happy to. We've outlined the two letters again to keep the issues discrete between the sewer and drainage on the one hand, and very significantly the safety issues related to the street conditions and the parking. So thank you for doing the pieces that you can with your areas of auspices.
Dr. Hoffman, I would be happy to sign your letter. That's how I feel. But our limitations of what people can properly do.
The only thing I would just add is it doesn't have to be right this moment, but if there is other guidance that you can suggest of who we should reach out to or actions taken, we would welcome any guidance. So thank you.
You have a fine and able office of city planning in the Bronx. I would urge you to communicate with the director of city planning in the Bronx office. Point that out to him. And at the same time, point it out to the incoming or may already be installed new chair of city planning and advise them it's time for a change.
May I ask a clarifying question? Is
Sure.
that Director of Planning and Development in the Office of the Bronx Borough President?
No.
Okay.
This is the office of the Department of City Planning on Fordham Road in the Bronx.
Okay.
Camilla, that's the address?
No, they were on the concourse now.
Yeah, that's right. 1775 Grand Concourse.
They
They're in the old telephone building.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Unfinished business, which is the Van Cortlandt Village. I will not take more than 5 or less than that minutes to tell you. We had a separate meeting on the subject of Van Cortlandt Village last week. There is a memorandum that has been prepared and will shortly be circulated, giving an update on where we are and where we're going. Essentially, the claims and problems there are real, they are serious, and they demand attention. They have had attention for the past 3 years, one committee member to the contrary, notwithstanding, by Marty Wolpuff, the vice chairman of this committee, and David Gelman, once an honest member of this committee and board, now on leave of absence. But this is term limits, that's why. The issue there is one we're going to address in the following way. We're going to do subcommittees on the various issues. They range from Ed Green, who we're going to ask to lead the issues on crime and the like, to deal with those. Dan Rowan's who's chairman of sanitation, is going to pay particular attention to sanitation issues, together with Mr. Cole, is it?
With Carl Ford and Megan Enriquez.
Yeah. So that we have a
And
list.
DEP, yeah.
And that will be circulated. I looked at it today and that will be circulated shortly. Believe me, that is an example of how indifference by former administrations, I emphasize that word because I hope for better things, is neglecting planning for communities. And so we'll see where we can go with that. All right, that is my report. Urban planner. Is that you, Laura?
No, Paul Graziano.
Paul Graziano.
It's right here.
Oh, there he is.
Yes. Maybe you want to sit over here so people can see.
Yes, I showed up in person. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thanks for having me again. You may remember I was here when the whole City of Yes.
City of yesterday, please.
Well, again, no shade on the DCP representative here, but obviously we're going to be talking about the things that the DCP under the former mayor has created, the mess that we are in today. So let's review what has occurred since the last time I was here. The City of Yes was approved. There were some minor changes to it, very minor, no more than 2 or 3% of the whole program was changed. There were some, the initial plan was to get rid of all single family zoning. That was slightly modified. The R11 was slightly modified, although it's still not what it was before, which was a 9,500 square foot, 100 by 100 or 100-foot frontage. Now it's 75-foot frontage and 7,350 square feet, I believe. Allowing for future. Excuse me?
7,500.
Well, it's not 7,500, it's 75 feet. And
No,
it's less than.
The minimum lot area.
Sir, can I please give my presentation?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Who is that?
Yehuda Man.
That was made, isn't it?
Yes. The size of the lot is always smaller than the size of than the frontage of the property. It's never 75 by 100. It's 75 by 95. That's the standard. Anyway, and in other zones, obviously, many things occurred. So what we did was the large coalition that we created to fight this sued the administration over the City of Yes. And we had over 130 plaintiffs. It's the largest lawsuit, land use lawsuit in 65 years, probably since the creation of the zoning resolution. And we went to court. Actually, the experts on the case, myself, George Janes, who's a very well-known community planner like myself, Walter Mugden, who is the former head of the New York region of the Environmental Protection Agency before he retired a few years ago, and his expertise on sewer and water infrastructure is astounding, and Karen Argenti, who helped us with this as well. Our attorneys, Jack Lester and Lawrence Marks, were put in the papers. We gave our expert testimony and witness. And in last summer, last July, we gave our oral arguments. And the record on this case is over 11,000 pages long. It is immense. And essentially, the Adams administration and former chair Dan Garodnick lied in their environmental impact statement. This is what they did, and this is our allegation to that effect. And I'll give you an excellent example, and I'm happy to send over the papers for you to review anytime. In all of the environmental impact statement and in all of the changes that were proposed, the word subdivision is listed exactly twice. Now, I want you to think about this. When you change the minimum lot size across the city of New York, and now all of a sudden, properties that couldn't be subdivided now can be subdivided because the minimum lot size is, let's say for an R2 zone, goes from 40 feet to 30 feet. And all of a sudden, tens of thousands of properties that couldn't be subdivided can now be subdivided. And each of those properties can also have an accessory dwelling unit on top of everything else. And you're increasing one property to maybe 4 units, where before it could only have 1 unit. These are things that should be taken into account into the environmental impact statement as to what the effects this will have on infrastructure and neighborhood character and all of the other things that they're supposed to have an effect on. All of this was left out of the report. Many, many, many things like that were left out of the report. We went to court, we gave our oral arguments, and the city's response was nothing short of amazing. The Assistant Corporation Counsel made the most incredible claim I think I've ever heard in any court case I've ever been involved in, where she stood up and said to the judge, "Judge, we cannot follow the law, and we cannot, I just want to get the quote right. We cannot do mitigation," right? Because a lot of this has to do with what sort of mitigation would have to be done if all of these new units are being built. New schools, new sewer lines, new open space, whatever it might be, for an area that's being overwhelmed with new development. So we cannot follow the law and we cannot do mitigation because this will take away from building housing. They stated this in court. They are stating that they are violating the law. And our attorney said, this is an incredible statement by the city to make, obviously. So the decision on this case was made exactly 1 week after the election in November, where the judge misstated SECRA and the intention of SECRA, which again was breathtaking, and then also stated that as the plaintiffs, we are the ones who are responsible for this because we should have gone to the Department of City Planning and the government and told them what to do to make things better, which again is not the role of a plaintiff in an Article 78 proceeding. The role of the plaintiff as the public is to point out that the city did not follow the law and either acted arbitrarily and capriciously or didn't follow the law. So we are appealing this decision. The appeal will be filed Wednesday with the second department, excuse me. In the meantime, while that occurred, the charter ballot questions were put on the ballot. And I had spoken to our attorney and said, "Hey, have you seen these charter ballot questions?" And he said, "No." I said, "You really should take a look at them. They're really quite something." So he looked at them and he called me back and said, "These are crazy." I said, "Yes, they are." So we ended up having a meeting in August with the Speaker of the City Council and the entire top attorneys for the City Council, because our attorney was willing to do a pro bono lawsuit, because you probably don't know this, but when the Charter Commission put these ballot questions up, which are the biggest changes to zoning citywide, way more than City of Yes, which is already crazy, they never filed an environmental impact statement. They did not follow state law whatsoever. So our attorney was ready to do this pro bono. We went to the Speaker and the City Council and their attorneys, and he said, "Listen, I'll do this pro bono. You can be the plaintiffs, et cetera, et cetera." And the City Council, Speaker, and the attorney said, "Oh no, we have other plans." And their response was, "We're going to do a public education program." Those were the flyers that you received in your mail telling you to vote no. That was their answer. Not to stop it from even getting on the ballot, because it was illegal. Illegal. Because they did not file an EIS, they did not disclose it to the public, they did not have public hearings on it, and they did not take public comment. So we went to court in October over this. And we had a judge switched on us 3 days before the hearing. We were supposed to get a judge that actually dealt with environmental law issues and secret issues. And 3 days prior, we were flipped to a Justice Jeffrey Pearlman, who prior to his appointment to the bench was Governor Kathy Hochul's special counsel. And his job when he worked in Westchester County was to throw people off the ballot. So he categorized our challenge as an election law challenge, which it was certainly not. It was a secret challenge based on the fact that they did not file an EIS. So he immediately said we didn't meet the standards, latches, and all of that stuff. And so he wrote a decision against it. So we filed our appeal to that about a month ago, actually 3 weeks ago. So these appeals are the first appeal is in process. We will have our hearing in September on the charter ballot questions. And we are pretty convinced that we will actually have this overturned on appeal because they did not follow state law. It's really that simple. It doesn't mean that the questions can't come back in the future, but they would have to follow actual state law and procedure under secret. And in terms of City of Yes, that will be filed Wednesday and the hearing will be in December, most likely. In the meantime, the chaos that is already ensuing from the City of Yes in motion and this administration's support of the City of Yes and the ballot questions, so let's be very clear, is creating problems all over the city already. Combine that with the green fast track, which is the change under former Mayor Adams and Dan Garodnick to remove review for all small developments in the city of New York. That would be 175 units in R5 or below and 250 units in R6 and above. Now we have lots of projects moving forward with no environmental assessment statements or environmental impact statements whatsoever. So you're getting a 10-page report on land use changes going to community boards. And obviously, in some cases now, we're starting to get the ELERP, which is the expedited land use review procedure where the council is cut out and the community board and the borough president are mushed together. I don't know if you've had one in Board 8 yet, but we've had several in my communities in Queens. So all of this stuff is happening. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. And now we have the governor who is proposing to get rid of SECRA for all developments of 500 units or less, as well as non-residential development of 50,000 square feet or less, commercial and industrial, across the entire state. So we have quite a roundup of...
I'm sorry, Paul, Tom, I call you back. No.
We have quite a roundup of those things. And I'll mention one other thing, which is another big issue that came up last year and is continuing to percolate this year, is the push by Airbnb to essentially overturn Local Law 18, which is something that restricts unregulated Airbnb in New York City. And a bill was introduced last year to allow unrestricted Airbnb in all 1- and 2-family homes in the city of New York, with up to 4 different rooms in each unit, whether it's a 1-family or 2-family home, to have 4 different parties every night, 4 different groups of people, and the owner does not have to be present. That bill was ultimately never came forward last year, but it will be reintroduced Thursday by Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse. So that is my roundup for you. Do you have any questions or comments?
City of Yes should be modified. City of Yes to lobbyists. This is clearly lobby. My hunch is you may not get the kind of attention you need in the second department unless you have an appropriate panel.
Correct.
And my recommendation to this board is to get ready to appear amicus curiae in support of the position in the Court of Appeals and for leave in the court.
That's very generous of you. I will have the
I
appeal.
will do,
You'll do the amicus? Wonderful. I'll have the draft of the appeal tomorrow, so I will know exactly what Jack has written by then. But I very much appreciate that. Comments, questions? Yes.
I got lost in the timing of the referenda. The referenda that you're talking about, was that which one?
Questions 2, 3, and 4.
Right, okay.
Questions
Last year.
2025, the ones that 4 days after the City of Yes was passed, the mayor said, that's not enough. I'm going to convene a charter commission and I'm going to put land use on it because the council has too much power.
That was the letter that we signed.
that was also
That was the letter.
led by a lobbyist.
Yes.
For one, as a member of the commission.
Yes. Yes. So those 3 questions, which was the zoning board of appeals, which essentially is a regurgitation of the board of estimate, which could be actually found to be unconstitutional on a different set of grounds. We haven't even gone down that route. The ELERP, right, which is the modest increases, which turns out to not be very modest at all, and the affordable housing fast track, which is focusing on the 12 lowest districts around the city in terms of affordable housing, and yet they still haven't designated those districts yet. Again, all of this was done without an environmental impact statement because they rushed it through. Many people also mentioned that the language was not neutral on the ballot. We only had 7 days to respond to that. So if we had sued over that, the statute of limitations, we wouldn't have been able to meet that. But we were never even, our argument, and I think it's a fair argument, is we're not even questioning the validity. We're stating that they didn't follow mandatory state law, period. If they want to come back after they're annulled and redo it all over again and do a proper EIS and do proper public disclosure, who are we to argue with that? But that is a process that takes time and effort and public participation and feedback, which changes the whole discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you just answered the question I'm about to ask, which is if you prevail, City of Yes is on hold. Is that correct? Pending a new environmental impact statement?
No. 2 different things. The charter would be annulled. The 3 ballot questions would be annulled.
I was addressing
City of Yes is different. So City of Yes could have a number of different responses from the appeals court. It could be annulled. Unlikely. It could be annulled. More likely, there would have to be hard mitigation baked in and or some sort of discussion on how to amend the City of Yes. You know, I'll give you a great example. One of my arguments was I created what's called the R2A zone. It is only in Queens. It is the anti-McMansion zone. You know, we had several people in the SNAD talking about how inappropriate a building might be or is, and you rightly stated, this is a planning issue. This isn't an issue in front of the SNAD regs. The R2A was created specifically, and by the language itself described by the Department of City Planning, to make new development fit in with the existing development of the area, with small footprints, with all of the extras pulled out, all of the exemptions, with lineup provisions to make the front yards line up so that there's nothing sticking out, and also mandatory green space in the front. And all of that was destroyed purposefully destroyed by the City of Yes. Purposefully destroyed by the City of Yes. So that zone and one other zone were the only zones ever created where the Department of City Planning stated very clearly, not a special district, right? Like the SNAD or like, you know, the Fresh Meadows Planning District or Sunnyside Gardens Planning District, but baked into the basic framework that this is a preservation zone to create smaller houses with more open space, more green space. so that it fits in with the community.
And then they can build another house on the green spot.
Now they can build another house on the green space. Now, of course, they've changed the lot size, but the biggest argument I stated was the lineup provision and the mandatory open space in the front lawn was done specifically for flooding purposes, right? Because we want to make sure that the land can absorb as much water as possible with increased flooding, with climate change. And while the city felt they couldn't regulate the backyards, they felt they could regulate the street side yards because the water is running into the street. That was all taken away under the city of Yes. And already we're seeing the consequences of this in the last year. We're seeing new houses going up with everything paved over in the front yard. The houses are now, they've reversed the lineup. So the lineup no longer goes back. Now it goes forward. So the front yards are disappearing and they're being paved over. And we're going to see increased flooding just from that alone. So that's just one example of that.
And those things were carried over by the DEP. They counted those spaces in everybody's front yard as part of the measurements for how much was it pervious and new impervious. And so now it messed up all their criteria and all their maps and everything.
Again, so this gets back to the dishonesty of this entire endeavor. And the fact that now where you only could have a 30% lot coverage, including your garage, now on the corners it can be 80%. And on the mid blocks it's 45%.
Right.
That's permanent imperviousness. That's not even imperviousness that could potentially become permeable again. We're talking about the footprints of the buildings. So this is a nightmare for all of our communities. And it's in every zone. But as I said, in the R2A and the R12A, it's particularly egregious because those zones were created specifically to control the size of the building on the site. Laura.
Question. Since every day more permits are being issued, et cetera, I was part of the City of Yes plaintiff.
You still are.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. All right. And we had to endure this long wait to lose that first time. Now we have the appeal. What is the timeline on when you do this kind of appeal? That's one question.
The second department, anywhere from a year to 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the fact you got on the calendar this quickly is unique.
Well,
I've had cases involving labor unions that I represented waiting 2 years on a labor issue.
In this case, the calendar, we missed the deadline. April 23rd was the hard deadline. So we're filing. No, I'm saying we're filing now. So we will be in for the December. That's what we were told.
Well, I'm glad the lawyer took pity and he did it pro bono.
No, that was the charter.
For the charter.
That was the charter.
For the charter revision.
Yes.
But that will disappear, right? Okay.
If we win.
Yeah. All right. So how much have you raised since 24?
So just for everybody to understand, this was all done voluntary. This is done through the Queens Civic Congress, which is an umbrella organization representing about 75 civic and homeowners groups in the borough. We got groups from all over who donated. We raised, I would say, about $200,000 over the last year and a half. We're about 30,000 that we still need to raise. But we've, it's all been, we have a GoFundMe page. If you look up GoFundMe, City of Yes, it'll pop right up. If people want to donate to the Queens Civic Congress and put appeals on the memo line, again, this is just to cover, the legal and expert fees. And it's been quite a trip, to put it mildly, because we've had to do a lot of fundraising. But it's groups, civic groups giving $1,000, individuals giving $10 or $100, or some people have given $5,000, which has been amazing. But it's been really, we're not talking about deep pockets here. We're talking about very middle class, working and middle class people who have been trying to protect their homes. Anything else? Any other questions?
Nope. Yeah.
Thank you.
At some point, I'll get together.
Yeah, we'll talk. That's really, as I said, I'll let Jack know. He's very, very generous.
We know each other.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Exactly.
That makes it very complimentary.
Yes. And as you probably know, he's a pretty smart guy. So,
Is there any other business to come before the committee? Mr. Graziano, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And I also note the presence tonight of New York's leading expert on housing and zoning, Ted Weinstein. They ain't nobody as knowledgeable as him or as decent. Ladies and gentlemen,
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Done.
Second. Okay.